Oi oi, alright, how's it going? I'm Grant, you're you, and this is Doodle Review, the channel where we review and we talk about music in any genre, but we do have a particular fondness for rock and guitar based music. Today we're talking about something in that wheelhouse, but probably about as adjacent and left of centre as you can get with this album, Selvutsletter by Lost Girls. Lost Girls is the collaboration between Norwegian, Oslo-based musicians Jenny HVAL and Håvard Volden. HVAL has had an active career under her own name for many years at this point, crafting challenging avant-garde ambient forms of experimental art, rock and electronica with albums like 2016's Blood Bitch and 2019's The Practice of Love, gaining some of the most acclaim in her career. While HVAL and Volden's collaboration as Lost Girls has only existed since 2021, their partnership has been around for much longer, as Volden has remained a core member of HVAL's live band, interpreting the guitar from HVAL's records to bring the music to live audiences at various points over the last decade. As a creative duo under the Lost Girls name, the pair released Kollektivet in 2021, an album rooted in dance and electronic influences while retaining a classically HVAL avant-garde sensibility. At the time of its release, I approached the record with great trepidation. HVAL is an artist I greatly respect, but in practice I've often found her solo material just a little far out there for me to fully enjoy, and I was delighted and pleasantly surprised to find that within the Lost Girls project, and particularly on Kollektivet, the process of filtering the artist's vision through a collaborator and Volden and attempting to work more closely within a more accessible genre like IDM and house created a fantastic balance of the avant-garde and the enjoyable. That album retained many of HVAL's challenging aspects like ambient and spoken word, but within a dreamy, often housey electronic framework, with tracks like Carried by Invisible Bodies and Love Lovers really standing out. Selvutsletter is a relatively fast follow-up to that album, coming just 2.5 years later, but despite its quick turnaround, the duo have already moved quite a considerable distance away from their interest in dance and house music. While aspects of these styles still remain, for example, the rhythm used in all of these songs are mostly rooted in very digital, very precise 4/4 beats. While those elements remain, overall I would say the music moves towards a more kind of dream pop, almost shoegaze sound. And on the whole, this shift really works. Songs like Timed Intervals and With the Other Hand are hazy but propulsive tracks in which HVAL's vocals beautifully glide over the top of Volden's lightly scratching guitars. Ruins, the highlight of the album for me, elevates the drama with a gritty bass line that drives the song forward until more dissonant elements like guitar plucks and horns are added, which creates a cool kind of tension between the slightly aggressive instrumental and the soothing melodies from HVAL. Where the album loses a bit of steam for me are the more ambient pieces, which for some reason on this record just feel like more of a heavy weight pulling things down and slowing the momentum than they did on the first record. I'm not sure if this is because the contrast between ambient and dream pop, as on this album, just isn't as strong as the contrast between ambient and dance music that we had on the first record, and therefore without that steep kind of difference you don't appreciate the ambient pieces as much. It could also just be that Re-Entering the City, World on Fire and Sea White just aren't as engaging in their own right, but when listening individually there isn't anything I can pick out. It just feels like as a whole these songs do tend to just kill the momentum we've been building up until Ruins. With that being said, the record centerpiece, the 7-minute Jeg Slutter Meg Selv, which is itself a long piece with an ambient beginning, really puts the record back on track, and it's a slow building piece with a 4/4 minimal house beat that wouldn't feel too out of place on the first Lost Girls record. The track builds over this clean, consistent rolling guitar track that is gradually pierced as the song continues by synth arpeggios and some cool live drum fills. Selvutsletter falls just shy of the first record in terms of its ability to kind of hold my interest consistently over its runtime, but it continues to be a great collaboration, and I'd give this a 6.2 out of 10, and I'd advise anyone interested in dream pop or shoegaze specifically to at least give it a go if it's not already on your list. Okay, thanks for listening to me chat fraff about this record. If you enjoyed this, let me know. I'd love to keep doing this, dedicating time to reviews, and every comment and every subscription is kind of a step forward towards doing that. So do consider doing one or both of those things. subscribe, share some thoughts, show some love, or just hurl some abuse in the comments below. There are some other videos linked in the description as well that you might like. Okay, cheers mate, bye.